Next, Sam Darnold. He is a Seattle Seahawk. He signed a 3-year, $110 million deal. 55 of it is guaranteed. That's a lot of money for a guy who had one good season. And that one good season was great. I mean, don't get me wrong. He won 15 games. He threw for 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns. Made his first Pro Bowl career season from Sam Darnold. But Seattle didn't have a great offensive line last year. And you're putting Sam Darnold on a team with a bad offensive line. I don't think that's good. And Richard Sherman agrees with that. I mean, he said it is a lateral move from Geno Smith, which is interesting to think about because Geno Smith has been more consistent than Sam Darnold in the last couple years. Geno Smith has more mobility. Like, I'm surprised that the Seahawks gave him this amount of money, but I'm also surprised the Vikings didn't give him another shot. I mean, who does Sam Darnold have to throw the ball to in Seattle? I mean, I would much rather go to Minnesota than Seattle because at least Minnesota has receivers. In Seattle, they lost Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, and they have Jackson Smith and Jigba there. They are going to have to draft a rookie. And I've heard Mbuka is a good option because Smith and Jigba and him played together at Ohio State. So that could be a great pairing. And they don't have a reliable enough run game, in my opinion. I mean, Kenneth Walker is good. Don't get me wrong. But it feels like he gets hurt every single season. I mean, he was on my fantasy team last year, and he got hurt right when I traded him. I was like, thank goodness I traded him. But I don't know. I'm not sure about this move because the NFC West is a tough division. Tough division. And I'm just not seeing the vision here with that. I'm just not. I'm not seeing Sam Darnold being a game changer for the Seattle Seahawks. And I don't know if he's better than Geno Smith. I've seen 1 year of Sam Darnold. I've seen 3 solid years of Geno Smith. Geno Smith is coming off a year where he won 10 games. 10. And we'll go ahead and get into that move because I was going to jumble around a little bit. But since I'm talking about Geno Smith, let's stay on Geno Smith. He's on the Las Vegas Raiders. No new contract. He's going to be making his $31 million this year. But he has got some potential on this Las Vegas team. If they get a running back, which according to Tankathon, they're projected to get Ashton Genty at 6, which may not be a bad move for the Las Vegas Raiders. They need a running back. They don't have receivers like that. Jacoby Myers is probably their best receiver outside of Brock Bowers, that is a weapon that Geno Smith can utilize. I mean, Brock Bowers broke rookie records for receptions and receiving yards by a tight end last year. He was a first-team All-Pro as a rookie. He was amazing last year. And you put Geno Smith there with Pete Carroll, I mean, that is a good move for the Raiders, in my opinion. I know people probably don't see that now, but I think the Raiders are not a bad football team after this draft. I think the Raiders are going to have a good team after this NFL draft. I think a lot of these moves that I'm talking about as well depend on how these teams do in the draft, because you're going to get some kind of rookie that's going to be a game changer in this draft. This draft is deep when it comes to linebackers, offensive linemen, running backs especially. I've never seen a draft class as good at the running back position. It is loaded when it comes to those positions. Pass rushers as well. There's a lot of good players in those positions. If the Raiders can draft well, they have Tom Brady at the helm. That could be a good match. And let's say the Raiders get in a position to draft a quarterback. They could groom somebody behind Geno Smith. That is a perfect player to have grooming behind him. perfect. You got to have somebody. I think it's a game changer. And Geno Smith is efficient. He completed 70% of his passes last year. People think Geno Smith is bad. I don't know where. I'm not sure because his numbers say otherwise. His numbers say otherwise. And then the Raiders still kept Max Crosby after all the trade talks. They signed him to a $106 million deal for the next 3 years. That is a guy you had to lock up, and they did. And I like the Geno Smith move just because Pete Carroll's there. The hire makes sense if you're going to try to get somebody who literally played for Pete Carroll. And Geno Smith had his best season of his career when Pete Carroll was the head coach in Seattle. So I like this move, believe it or not. It's actually one of my favorite moves of free agency, believe it or not. Geno Smith, I really didn't think that at first, but it's definitely been one of my favorites. He can dissect a defense pretty well, and he has good mobility. He can move outside the pocket. He does a lot of good things for this team, I think.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my